yes, isn't it great to bring you an episode of The Agenda after a win like that? A 78-point smashing against the Brisbane Lions is just what the doctor ordered for Nathan Buckley and his men after a number of weeks of intense media scrutiny. Join me this week is the Age's Michael Gleeson. Gleeson, great to have you on the show, and gee, what a performance by the Magpies on Saturday night.
Well, it's great to be here, Chris. I'm very happy to be here after Collingwood's had a win. Don't quite want to be here when they've performed as they have recently. But look, there was a lot to like out of the weekend, a lot to like about the way Collingwood performed, the way they actually moved the ball well for the first time. They seemed to attack the ball as much as just guard space, which I think was a big shift for them. I really liked the fact that they trapped it in the forward line. Yeah, if you're a glass half full guy, you say, yeah, 15 goal, 13 goal win, that's great. You could also say, well, 10 goals up at half time, really should have won by more.
Yeah.
A bit like Essendon on Anzac Day, had it there, ready to go away in the second half. Would have been nice to have finished with a 20-goal win, but let's not be greedy. A win's a win.
Let's take the 78-point smash.
Exactly.
Now, Adam Treloar, of course, coming to the club, what an outstanding player he's been, and he was absolutely incredible on Saturday night. 36 disposals, 3 goals, and he's proving his worth already.
Well, he is, and it was good to see him respond, particularly to the week before. He didn't get a tag this week, from what we could see, which was, after Curnow really monstered him the week before, and he's probably having to work out how to play with a tag. But the Giants, he probably wasn't the player to draw the tag. And it was a difference for Collingwood too. When you move Pendlebury into the middle, then you do have that genuine dilemma. Is it Treloar? Is it Pendlebury? Who gets the tag? And now Collingwood's at least got that, forcing that choice upon teams now. And look, it was a fantastic performance. Again, if you want to be critical, 3 goals, 3. He missed one or two easy ones, but he was moving the ball well. He was taking it on. The big thing that stands out with Treloar is what they brought him for is the fact that he carries the ball. He's got pace. Collingwood is a slow side through the midfield, and he brings that. Varka coming back in helped that as well.
Absolutely. His ability to run at the opposition defence really does create opportunities. Let's take a look at the scoring stats from Saturday night, and you can just see here the dominance, 43 scoring shots to 15, the dominance in inside 50s, and you talked about the pressure, Michael, in the forward half. It's all there to see.
Well, it is, and in part I think that explains, you've got 43 shots at goal, the inaccuracy to a degree that it was a bit like that old press, and that you pepper the goal. Now a lot of those were gettable misses, but when you can keep the ball up in the forward line, and I think that was helped a bit. I think Crocker and these guys with that versatility, that sort of speed around the ground, that helps. You've got Jesse White. He laid tackles. They have that ability to help spread defenders and trap the ball.
This is a couple of examples. You mentioned Adam Treloar missing a couple. Well, that was one, and there was some basic misses early in the game.
This is not a great one.
This was in the second quarter, and Jordan would have been disappointed with that, and so would Levi Greenwood with that. And it's certainly, I think, it's an important area, conversion in any form of football. You've got to convert your opportunities when you have your moment in the sun.
Absolutely, and particularly, all right, this was a game where Brisbane hadn't scored, for a quarter, so they weren't putting any scoreboard pressure on. But you come up against the better teams, you've got to take all of those opportunities. You can't be sitting there, particularly when they're gettable shots like those ones. You can accept the sprayed, snap and that sort of thing. But when you're running into an open goal, that's inexcusable at this level of footy.
The good news is, though, that the new look forward line was able to create 20 goals, and that was most impressive. Of course, Mason Cox, who came into the team, make his debut against Essendon on Anzac Day, kicked 4 goals and was a real target up forward.
He was, again, and what he drew, well, there's a free kick there. He's going to draw those free kicks because just his size, you've played against Paul Salmon, just the size of the guy draws the defender into error. They chop the arms and they drag and pull, and he's going to get those free kicks.
Absolutely. Now, this is Jesse White, of course, coming into the team, and he made a difference as well, kicking 3 goals, and that was outstanding work. And he's had plenty of opportunities, but finally on Saturday night, we saw him really have an impact.
Yeah, look, I was one of those that, I was critical of Jesse. I was one of those that was I was shocked that he came back into the team. He's absolutely proven idiot critics like myself wrong, that he knows, he's been absolutely everything that they could have asked for since he's come back.
And that's Ben Crocker, of course, who also had an impact coming into the team. So
it was a beautiful goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And he looks to be a real presence up there, not necessarily a tall forward, but someone who is very agile, good overhead, creates plenty of pressure. So he looks like a real find.
And pace. And it's something that really Collingwood has needed. And he looked, the way he was able to accelerate away from his opponent, grab the ball and still have the composure, puts it on the right, squeezes it across. He's really got something. He looks, just that adds that bit of pressure in the forward line.
Now, everyone's had their say on the Magpies. On the agenda last week, we had our say about a couple of positional changes perhaps that might work. Mason Cox in the ruck. Oh, gee, I don't know what our producer Luke Mason's talking there across, because he did participate, was in for 11 centre bounces or ruck contests and really did have an impact.
He only had one hand for part of it.
No. Well, that's right, exactly, yeah. Howe back was a win, White forward was a win, and I reckon, interested in your thoughts about Scott Pendlebury in the midfield, certainly generates in the engine room as a real positive.
He absolutely does, and I think that partly you look at that and see how behind the ball, there's a connection there. How being able to go back there, they've needed some runners and needed some people that can distribute the ball well behind the ball, and that was, they needed to go to the captain. They need to go to captain to play him everywhere, in large part at the moment. How going back enabled Pendlebury to be moved back into the midfield. What does that have? A cascading effect on Treloar gets away. Pendlebury still had one of his best games for the year. Look, you can't have him everywhere. You'd love him everywhere, but you can't have him everywhere, and he's just a star. Wherever you put him, he's going to dominate.
Well, Jeremy Howe is one of the names we've just mentioned. He caught up with Collingwood media after the match to discuss his move into the back line and what's to come against the Cats on Saturday.
Yeah, so probably midweek 2 weeks ago, me and Bucks had a chat just about, it's probably when we started having the curse of the half-back, started all dropping like flies, and I was one that had a bit of experience in my previous club, and so I played a few games there, and then obviously he asked me, he's like, can I play there? And then, I went home, I thought about it, and then he actually followed up with a phone call, which I really appreciated, and he just asked me, now the dust settled, how do you feel about it? And I was like, look mate, the way we play, my attributes can actually suit the way that we want to play down there, and I was more than happy to play the role, and look, I'm just going to take it week by week. If I play forward next week, I'm not sure, but I'm enjoying it down there, so we'll just play it by ear. I think, that first half of footy that we played tonight, we're going to have to try put in a four-quarter effort against those guys, because obviously they're probably the in-form team in the comp at the moment, and they're a real grunt side, and they're going to bring, their first-class game. So we're going to have to be on, and we look forward to the challenge, because it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, he certainly was a star. 20 disposals, 7 marks, 3 intercept marks, 5 inside 50 entries, so he was a very good player.
Oh, absolutely. And the irony is that he came, one of the reasons to come to Collingwood was that he wanted to get away from playing half behind the ball. Now he finds himself there. It felt like it was almost an apologetic Bucks that went to him and said, look, we need to play you there. I actually think it's his best position. I know he's played really well as a forward, but he reads the ball, and in the modern game of being able to therefore say, okay, we've got one key defender, and then he can play tall because he can jump and spoil. And he's got enormous aerobic capacity. So if he can just run, play that sort of role, it gives them that sort of versatility across the half-back line. Look, Jeremy may not want to hear it, but I'd be leaving him there.
Well, let's look forward to the Cats on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a massive game, Michael, and one of the stars for the Cats, and what a recruit he's been, Patrick Dangerfield, adding to what is already a very good midfield. And this is perhaps the opportunity, and this is the dilemma for Nathan Buckley about, do you tag Dangerfield, do you let Selwood go? And Cam Guthrie's another midfielder for the Cats who's been in fantastic form, but what's your view? I mean, do we lock down on Patrick Dangerfield? There's the options.
Well, they had the same dilemma in Perth recently, but good winning form's good form. Collingwood's most recent form was against Geelong was pretty good in the pre-season. Looking back to that, that's obviously a very different scenario, but I don't think you can go with both. I think that Selwood, you almost just have to go head-to-head with him, put a Tay Adams or someone like that in there and just do that. Look, Greenwood has done probably his best game, was playing against Selwood and sitting on him last year.
He was a little bit shaky early, wasn't he on Saturday, Friday night with the Cats, and this was the NAB Cup.
Bang, that's the one everyone remembers.
Yeah, with Travis Varco running him down. So He's not. I think the key point is here. He's not invincible.
He's not, but he has also grown into that team since that moment, and he's got better as Geelong's got better. He's working out how to play with them. Look, I think that Greenwood needs to either take. He needs to do something this week.
Yeah.
I don't think Levi's been in very good form, and I think he needs to be playing almost for his position. And I think giving him a task such as Dangerfield might be the answer for him. They've got the second choice would be to go to Crisp and say, look, he's got the pace. He's got better pace than Levi. I wouldn't be bringing McCaffrey in, but I think that Crisp or Greenwood, and I'll be giving Levi the first go and saying, here's your moment.
Well, part of the agenda, of course, Michael, is our Monday Moments, and I know you've been watching every episode every week. Our Monday Moments. I'll take the first cab off the rank, and my Monday moment was involving Mason Cox, and it wasn't one of his 4 goals. It was when Darcy Moore landed on his hand, and for a moment I thought, he's broken his hand, he'll be out for 6 weeks, and that would be a real blow. You can just see Darcy's right heel coming down on his hand, and it looked ugly. And I thought, well, it might be the break that Travis Cloke needs, perhaps to come back into the team in all seriousness. But it looks as though it might be okay for him to play this week against the Cats, so that's great news.
Well, you're right though. Travis doesn't get in on form right now, so it's going to require something like that, and that might be the opportunity for Travis to come in those circumstances and go, hey, seize his moment. That did look nasty, and I know Collingwood is saying that they think he's all right. Just looking at that, you think, I'm not sure how he can be.
Well, they'll have scans, but the early indication is that he'll be okay, so that's great news. Now, what about your Monday moment?
Well, surprisingly enough, it also relates to Mason Cox, and it wasn't a mark or anything like that. It was not the mark, but it was the moment just afterwards. It was the attitude, and it's a bit of American in him, and it's like bang, and just that look down at Source Merritt, just like, you see that?
I got you.
I got you again. You tried chopping my arms. You tried jumping in me as I kick a goal. That's it. And then this one. Jesse White's probably one of the few players that he can actually do that celebration with.
Without getting hit in the head.
He didn't do it with Jared Blair.
No. Well, let's get to the moment of truth. Saturday afternoon, MCG. The Cats have been outstanding all year.
They have.
Collingwood win?
The same can't be said of the Pies. Look, I don't think they can, but the measure will be how close they can stay in the game and how long they can stay in the game. They do need to pick up a win such as a game against Geelong to just show that, all right, they've beaten up on Brisbane and Essendon and the worst sides in it. They do need to do more than just smash a poor team. They need to really get close and win one of these sorts of games. Now, Geelong's one of the flag favourites. That'd be a very big win, but they do need to take a scalp like that.
Well, it's going to be a big game. Michael, thanks so much for filling in this week. I tell you what, Jay needs to be a little bit worried. Michael Gleeson on the agenda from The Age. Great to have him on the show. Let's look forward to a big game against the Cats at the MCG on Saturday, and join us next week for another edition of The Agenda. Goodbye.